The Depths of the Illusive Realm is an event game mode in Wuthering Waves, accessible after we finish a quest after Union level 17. The quest takes us to the entrance door in the Morning Ike's Mire, which is in the southeast part of the 1.0 map. As of right now, the game mode is in a beta stage and only certain characters are available to play. But with time, I assume we're gonna get a more fleshed out version of the realms. The game mode is a roguelike, where we go through chambers with either enemies or events, while collecting buffs for our character. The end goal is to get as strong as possible and defeat the boss in the final chamber. I highly recommend doing this event and collecting all the rewards it gives, since the Illusive shop provides us with a lot of important materials which comes in very handy in the early stages of the game. There's also a cosmetic skin available for one of our echoes for anyone interested in that. A quick side note about this skin in particular. I recently read that the shiny version does both less damage and gives less energy compared to the normal version, so perhaps avoid using the skin until that is fixed. Collecting enough event currencies to buy out the whole shop shouldn't take too long, since the game mode is fairly easy once you get a hang of how to progress through the chambers. And by the end of a run, we can get an absolutely insane power level. Sometimes we won't even be able to see what's going on since everything just glows and explodes. With all this in mind, let's have a look at what the game mode looks like when we first enter the door to Somnoir and go over everything together and explain things as we come across them. So first things first. The initial page we see when opening up the Illusive Realm gives us access to 4 main points of interest. Starting from the bottom right is the challenge button, which takes us to the actual game mode. In the bottom left we have the event store, and above that we have the anomaly investigation and thought evolution. Let's start by looking at the thought evolution tab. When completing a full run on any difficulty, we get a currency called memory points, which we use here to unlock permanent buffs for future runs. The upgrades available range from combat-oriented buffs such as echo cooldown and HP and damage increases, to more game mode specific things such as increased starting currency and rerolls for when selecting buffs. We'll get back to these last two in a bit. As of this version of the realm, we can easily get enough memory points to buy out everything in the skill tree just by aiming to clear all the first time rewards available for each difficulty level. So there isn't really any priority for what to get first, although the damage increase can be really nice to have. Next up is the anomaly investigation. Here we find a couple of one-time rewards for clearing different things in the realm, such as clearing a certain stage with a certain character or playing with a certain buff. Just as Thought Evolution, we'll be able to collect all the rewards fairly easily here, with a possible exception of the final difficulty one, depending on character investment. And finally we have the Illusive Store. Just by playing the game mode, we earn a currency called Illusive Specimen, which we spend here. We get a lot of the Illusive Specimen by completing the first time clears of a difficulty, so again, buying out the whole shop won't be an issue. The only limiter, aside from getting the currency, is that some of the items are locked behind the completion of higher difficulties. But it's definitely worth collecting enough credits to buy out the whole shop, since it has a lot of things we're interested in having at the early stages of the game. The items available are Resonator, Echo and Weapon materials, Shell credits, 100 premium currency, 2 5-star Echo selectors, and a Phantom Echo skin for the Heron. With all that out of the way, let's jump into the first part of the actual game mode. There are 5 difficulty levels in this version of the game. Clearing a difficulty unlocks the next one, and they all give a first time clear reward in the form of different currencies. As the difficulty goes up, so does the number of chambers needed to clear a full run, but with more chambers we also have more time to get exponentially stronger. After we've selected a stage, we are given a choice of what character to bring into the realm. Depending on difficulty, we can pick between different characters, either from our own character puddle or from the available trial characters. Up to and including the 4th difficulty, we are given trial characters, which I recommend using whenever possible since they are level appropriate for the selected difficulty. The wording here is a bit deceiving though, since the second tab of characters says My Characters, as of right now, but it simply indicates which characters are available to play in the game mode, and the highlighted ones are the ones we have access to. In this game mode, we also only bring in a single character to play instead of a full team, so if you want to use one of your own characters in the later levels, make sure to bring them up to a good level since they don't get automatically leveled up here. Anyway, let's select a character and start a run. The first chamber we start in sets up the run for us. Illusia, the first character we talk to, gives us a choice between 2 out of 3 available echoes to use throughout the run: Crownless, Inferno Rider, and Bellborn. Throughout the run, we can at any point here flip the outline switch at the top right hand corner to get more detailed information about any buffs we select from here on out. Our choice of echo, in theory, affects how we play the run a bit, but it's not that deep since we just press the echo ability when it's ready and we'll be able to smash through most things in our way. However, one thing we do need to keep in mind is what type of buff each echo needs to be improved. As we can see, there are levels to the echo and a colored circle at the bottom right of the explanation for each level. Each echo needs 3 of the same buff type to activate the first level, but after that they differ a bit and later levels also need a secondary buff type to activate. After we've decided what echo to use, we move on to the next 2 characters in the chamber. The buffs we need to upgrade our echo are given by the cat here. The cat allows us to pick between 2 types of buff cards, either a character card or a standard buff card. The character card allows us to activate the chosen character's ultimate when we reach max concerto energy. This energy right here. It doesn't really matter what character we pick, as long as we stick to the buff type our echo needs to level up. In the example here, we have a Crownless, which needs the purple thunder buffs to level up. So we pick a character that gives us that buff type. A single card can give between 1 to 3 points depending on rarity. We are gonna need a lot of points to activate the final level of the echo, but in later levels this usually isn't a problem. The third and final character in the chamber, the Ivory Gatekeeper, gives us buffs related to our Resonator's skills and abilities. For example, in this case, we can select between 2 types of buffs for our basic attacks. These buffs range from quite helpful to insanely strong, so just pick whatever sounds interesting. We'll still be able to clear any level with any build in my experience. Finally, with all of our initial buffs selected, we can start a proper run. From here on, we enter different arenas where we simply need to destroy everything in our way, and once that's done, the cat shows up again and we can select between 3 new buffs. We can always try to figure out what buffs would do well together with other buffs, but until our echo is fully leveled, there isn't really any point to picking anything outside of the required buff type. When we've selected our next buff, the next apparent thing would be to pick one of the 2 doors available and move on to the next arena. However, before selecting a door, take some time to explore each arena and learn where things can spawn, because this is how we get stronger as fast as possible. There is some RNG to this, since the stone blocks we're looking for, which look like this, can either spawn another cat, giving us more buffs to pick from, or just give us currencies that we can use later on. This exploration is going to be the most important thing to do to clear the realm. So when we've finished checking all the corners of the arena, we can move on to picking one of the doors to proceed. There are 3 different door types: the red combat ones, the green event ones, and the blue rest doors, which appear after a boss and in mid-runs during the later difficulties. There are some variations to the combat doors where we may have to defend a thing or destroy waves of enemies, but they're all more or less the same in the end, and as long as we clear them and explore for more cats, we shouldn't have a problem clearing higher difficulties. From here on, we keep clearing doors and explore for more buffs till we reach a boss, which we also just destroy. After this, we are presented with the final part of the realms, the Ebony Gatekeeper, which works as an in-run store where we spend any currency we get throughout the run. I wasn't able to get it on video, but I've seen him show up in other chambers as well, and when he does show up, he has a hefty discount on all the items he has to sell. So in addition to the stone piles, look out for this guy as well. And that's the whole game mode in a nutshell. Get buffs, get strong, clear the final boss, and collect loot. And now for some recommendations. While all echoes can easily clear any of the difficulties, my favorite one to use has to be the turtle, since it gives us a more or less permanent shield, which also boosts our damage at the same time. I've done a lot of config clears using this echo. But on the other hand, if you want to make sure to clear all the one-time rewards in the anomaly investigation, like the one using Shisha, but you don't have her leveled, and since no difficulty gives us the choice to use her as a trial character, just go with Crownless. With a couple of levels into Crownless, we're able to transform into the Echo, and in this form we don't take any damage while still dishing out a lot of it. I cleared the lowest difficulty level on my level 14 Shisha without much trouble using the Crownless as my Echo. And one final thing, the last difficulty, difficulty 5, doesn't give us any trial characters to use. So if you've leveled up Rover and have been using them in Havoc mode, you can swap them over to Spectre again and use them for the last run. For some reason, they don't show up while in Havoc mode, so just swap them over and you should be good to go. In summary, pick a character you like, pick an echo you like, pick buffs to improve that echo, search for more cats for more buffs, and just smash through the content and collect your rewards. It's a very bare bones system right now, but they've got a lot to build on. I like that there's some exploration needed to find buffs, and I hope we can see some more varied locations in later versions of the realm. I hope this video was able to provide some good information. Thank you so much for watching.